judging by the 3 cards that she flipped down, a highly creative person. Like, what do you do for work? And I told her, like, I'm an accountant. Hey beauties, thank you so much for joining me for another Get Ready With Me video. Today I thought I'd share with you all my journey back to makeup. It was about 2 years ago when we didn't have to wear masks all the time, and I thought I'm gonna start wearing more makeup because I have the time, because in the past I didn't always have time to get ready, and then I realized that the majority of the products that I was using were discontinued. So that kind of sparked me on a journey to discover what else was out there, because for the longest time I pretty much wore Cover FX and MAC products, mainly because at the time I had a lot of my girlfriends and guy friends were MAC artists, so it was easy to acquire products, and a lot of the products were like, here Nat, test this out. But the one thing about MAC products is I can't wear any of their face products. It usually makes my skin itch or it breaks me out because I do have sensitive skin, but I think makeup in general has come a long way in the past 20 years or so. So a lot of the products that I have been testing out this past couple of years have all been working out on my face. So I'm grateful for that. What I used to always wear on my face was just powder foundation from Cover FX. This is so old, okay? But this is what it looks like. And this is the shade G50. And this is already after they came out, they relaunched their products. When I first started with Cover FX, my shade was M50. And I didn't wear concealer when I was younger. When I started to get back into makeup, I was like, I don't know what I want. I don't even know where to start. So of course, that's when I went on YouTube, and that's when I started watching makeup videos. But then, of course, Instagram ad got me with MAKIAGE products. And it was my first experience with like trying to color match myself online, but I actually did a really good job. So let's get started with the makeup, and I'll continue chatting. So first we're going to start with the MAKIAGE No Filter Poreless Base Smoothing Primer. And I actually signed up for a subscription, so yes, these are not from way back then. Some of the products I'm about to show you need to be decluttered soon, but I do plan on attempting a declutter video, so I'm kind of saving them for that. So this primer is pretty, I guess what we would call silicone-y. Like, it's not sticky, it's very smoothing. I started my eyebrows already, because last time I did a Get Ready With Me video, it took me forever. So I don't normally start with my eyebrows done, because I like to put my base on and then do my eyebrows, but whatever gets messed up in the process, I will just fix up in a little bit. So yeah, MAKIAGE, color match online. You search through, or you go through a bunch of different, like, does this look like your skin tone? Does this look like your skin tone? But I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with the results. Okay, and then this is the foundation. It's, oh, sorry, this is the foundation. It's Woke Up Like This, Flawless Base Foundation, and this is the shade 060. And I'm going to go in with their foundation brush. So, let's see. When it was like COVID times and we always had to wear masks, the only thing that I wore was, or I had my eyebrows done, and then I pretty much I only wore mascara. Nothing else on my face. So this foundation has a little bit of a scent, but it's really not strong at all. It's just like the slightest clean smell. And then prior to COVID times, like I already said, I only wore like powder foundation on my face. And when I was still like super busy in my salon days, because right now I consider it I only work part-time compared to how much I used to work as a salon owner and a full-time stylist. I pretty much work 12 to 16 hours majority of the time I worked 7 days a week. My choice. But then, you know, that's not a healthy work-life balance. So now that I have a little bit more of a work-life balance, I have the time when I want to do my makeup the way that I want to do it. Because when I was a busy stylist, I would just take my products with me and I would always get ready at the salon, at my station. That's also why I stand. I stand when I do my makeup. I always have. I don't know how to do it sitting down. That's one reason. The other reason why I stand while I do my makeup is because of my scoliosis. If I'm sitting in a chair and I have to raise my arms to do anything, it gets really painful quickly. This video, I'm showing you the first few products that I got when I got back into makeup. That's what I wanted to share with you. But then I'm going to show you what I used to use. It's like, you know, comparison, contrast and comparison. And like I said, this channel is about my makeup journey, life journey. Okay. How's it looking? See, it's pretty good, right? For an online match. My very first time attempting an online match. So the other face product that I got when I was starting back into makeup was actually the Fenty Ease Drop Blurring Skin Tint. And I really like this. This has become one of my favorites. And the MAKIAGE, I liked it when I first got it. But then when I decided to like continue seeing what makeup has to offer these days, I kind of I stopped reaching for it. Because I found other products that, I'm not going to say that they're better, but just for my preference, I was like, oh, I like this better on me. The main thing that started to bother me about the MAKIAGE foundation was that I started noticing that it really settled into my nasolabial folds. And it's not, if you don't have that problem, then it's a great foundation. But for me, I've discovered other face products that don't do this. So for eye primer, it's MAC Paint Pot in Soft Ochre, and this is something that I've used over the past 2 decades. So I'm just gonna go in with my Kabuki brush, my Mini Kabuki brush from Amazon. So I feel a little bit all over the place with this story that I'm trying to tell you guys. And because I thought that I could tell it along, like chronologically with the products that I'm using, but if I'm all over the place, I apologize. My goodness, the whole point of this video, I forgot to mention in the beginning. So last week, I hit 100 subscribers, and I just wanted to thank you all so much with all my heart. I know it's not a huge deal here on YouTube, but to me, it is a huge deal. So again, thank you all so much for coming along with me on this journey. Setting powder I used to always use is, look how dirty it is, good old Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, the original one. And then when I started getting back into makeup, I was like, oh, what other powder should I start trying? And since then, I have tried a lot, like a lot. But the first one, it's dirty too, sorry. The first one that I started using was this e.l.f. HD powder. And surprisingly, like, it has become one of my favorites, even through trying all of the different powders that I have. So I'm just gonna tap some out. And I'm gonna go in with Nikki LaRose's N14 and just powder. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's already starting to settle in the fold. That's what happens when you age, I guess, right? Okay, so for my brows, I'm going to show you what I used to always use and also the reason why I started to look into what else was out there. So what I used to always use in my eyebrows is Smut from MAC. And then you can see I was starting to hit pan, right? So then I was like, okay, what else is out there? Because when I tried to replace this shade, it's discontinued. Along with this shade, Bamboo, that I used to use in my crease. So this quad is what I would pack with me to the salon for work. This is my underbrow highlight. This is Floof. This is Brulee, and all over the lid kind of shade. And then just this gently in my crease. I kept my makeup pretty boring during my salon days, because like I said, I only had a few minutes to get ready. So let's touch up these brows. And this quad was like my daily makeup. And then I would amp up my makeup if for events or going out, that kind of thing. In trying to replace this Bamboo shade, the very first palette that I got was Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. This shade, Orange Soda, is the closest I thought I could get to the shade Bamboo that I always used. So let's get some of this on my eyes. I'm going to go in with a Rephr 33 in the shade Orange Soda. I'm going to start in my crease and continue my story. I actually went to makeup school. I was working as an accountant for a Volkswagen Audi dealership. It was actually one of my part-time jobs when I was in high school. In high school, I had 3 part-time jobs. One was a restaurant job, one was a retail job, and another one was I was the night receptionist at this car dealership. And I worked 7 days a week and still went to school. Mainly because at the time I moved out of home already. I moved out when I was 16. And I wanted to go to hair school after high school. It's kind of an interesting journey, my life. In high school, I took all academics. I actually did like the honors program. I took everything. I took all the academics. I took every single science. I took photography. I took cooking. I took like a wide variety of things. But approaching grade 12, I thought maybe I want to go to hair school after high school, because actually my grandmother, she was a hairstylist, and she had her own little salon here in I'm in Vancouver, but we have a West Vancouver, and she had her own little salon called House of Emily, but she passed away when I was 16, so she didn't really teach me how to do hair, but she did my hair and everybody else's hair in the family in her home, and I got to spend a lot of time with her. I'm her favorite grandchild. So I guess hair was always an interest of mine because I had really difficult hair as a young child. Super thick, and it's curly, which isn't so common for Asians. I wanted to figure out how to deal with my own hair. I guess I always had an interest in hair. But when I was approaching the end of grade 12, the dealership that I was working at went through a controller change, and the new controller asked me what my plans were for after high school, and I was like, I don't know. And then she asked me if I would ever consider accounting, and for the longest time I was like, I don't want a desk job. That's not me. That's not my personality. At the time, I recognized the opportunity, and she offered me a full-time position, starting as a full-time receptionist, and then she was going to show me and teach me how to do accounting, and then eventually I became an accountant. Next, I'm going to go in let's build up this orange. And I'm going to go in with the shade Burnt Orange and a Refer 01. So yeah, I was an accountant for a couple of years already before the company that I worked for offered to partially pay for me to go to school at night to get my designation. So I also did that for a couple of years. I was 2 years into my CJA program. I went to BCIT here in Vancouver. Well, actually, it's in Burnaby, but it's still Greater Vancouver. And I worked from 7:30 to 4, and then I went to school from 6 to 10. And I can do hard work, but the classes were so boring. And I started to realize that I wasn't really learning anything because I already had the job and I was doing the job. So I was realistically just putting in time to get 3 letters after my name. And I was 22 at the time. And then I started to feel like, do I really want to do this? Because at the age of 22, I already felt like a middle-aged woman with the schedule, I didn't feel like I had fun in my life, right? Now let's deepen things up with the shade Cypress Umber and Eyeshadow 00. So I was starting to feel like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. I was having a quarter life crisis, I guess. And randomly, my mom calls me up one day at work. And then she's like, oh, are you busy after work today? And then I said, like, no, what's up? And then she said, oh, I really want to check out this psychic fair down at BC Place. I'm going to pick you up after work. Will you come with me? I'm like, yeah, of course. My mom told me that she has a plan, or there's something that she wanted to do at this psychic fair. She wanted to get her aura picture taken and then line up again and see if she can intentionally change the color of her aura the next time she got her photo taken, which she did, actually. And then we were just walking around. We had some food. We were checking out just all the different booths, and we were pretty much on our way out. As we were leaving, this one lady, she was eating at the time, and she put her hand out to me. She called out to me, and she was like, excuse me, I am to give you a reading. And I said, okay, like, what are your rates? And she was like, no, you don't understand. I am to give you a reading. So I was like, okay. So I went over, she shuffled a deck of tarot cards. She asked me some questions. I don't remember what the questions were, though. And she flipped down 3 cards. And I don't even remember what cards they were, but she told me, judging by the 3 cards that she flipped down, that I am a highly creative person. So she's like, oh, what do you do? Like, what do you do for work? And I told her, I'm like, I'm an accountant. She was like, okay, maybe my food is affecting this reading. So she swallowed, she walked to the back, came back to the front, and then she said, let's do this again. She reshuffled and asked me some more questions. Again, I don't remember what they are. And then she flipped down the same 3 cards. So then she told me that this rarely happens. It's not never, but just it's rare. I asked her, I said, well, what does that mean then? And then she said, it means that you need to no longer be an accountant. So then she started asking me, like, what are your hobbies? And at the time, like I said, I worked full time and I went to school at night, right? So I was like, I don't really have hobbies. I don't have time for hobbies. What do we think about this eyeshadow? Are we good for shimmers now? I think so. You know what? I think the only shimmer that I haven't tried in this palette is this bronze shade. Let's see what that looks like. It's pretty gold though. That's kind of pretty. So then, I think I told her that I was pretty creative as a kid, but I've been stuck in like accounting corporate mode for so long that I didn't really have a creative outlet. So then she recommended that I read Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, and it's like a workbook. So you read some, and then they have pages of prompts, and you do writing. And she explained to me that it's mainly to help writers break through their writer's block. And I actually used to write a lot when I was a kid. So I was like, okay, I think I'll give this a try. I actually didn't finish I didn't get through the whole book. And it finally came back to me that I actually wanted to do hair, which I was grateful for, to remember that that's something that I was really wanting to do for myself. But at the time, here in Vancouver, all hair schools were full-time. I'm going to go in with the shade Fairy. Let's get some bronzer on the face. Okay, so what I used to use way back for bronzer, look how old. This is from MAC. I can't even tell you what shade it is because it's worn off. But yeah, this was my bronzer from back in the day. The first bronzers I got, I say bronzers because one's cream and one's powder, but I got the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Medium. And then I got the Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Perfector also in the shade Medium. This one has the gradient, and you can use this as a highlighter. You can swirl it around and use them all together. Okay, so let's get some bronzer on the face. And where was I? Where was I in my story? I think I was talking about, oh yeah, so couldn't find part-time hair school, right? And I heard about a part-time makeup program at Blanche Macdonald here in Vancouver. And when I looked at the course, it had like a hairstyling section. And I also thought it was just going to be fun to like break me out of corporate mode and get me going with some type of creativity. I have to say though, going to makeup school, if you're going to become like a professional makeup artist, they don't really teach you enough, in my opinion. Like they don't, the beauty part within the program is very small, very, 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 very small. So they do like a section on, stage makeup, drag makeup. What I actually fell in love with through that program is, special effects makeup. So then afterwards, I even went to John Casablanca's. It's a different school here in Vancouver, to do advanced special effects just for fun. I found it super interesting. I like making things and building things, I guess. So I found all that like super interesting. You know how everything happens for a reason, right? I'm grateful, super grateful that I ended up doing that course, and it was only like one evening after work and then a full Sunday. Because what actually ended up happening is, one of my new friends that I made in this makeup course, she had heard about a part-time hair school coming soon. I think it was like the next year or something. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's totally going to work for me. So if I hadn't signed up, well, maybe I still would have discovered it, but this happened the quicker way. If I hadn't signed up for that makeup program, I wouldn't have met my friend who informed me that there was a part-time, because she was also a working mom at the time. She needed everything to be part-time as well. So I didn't have kids, of course, at the time, but I was working full-time. Let's get this into the hairline. Actually, her and I went together to that advanced special effects program over at John Casablancas, and our part-time hair school that we both signed up for the following year was also at John Casablancas. And I think we were one of the first few classes to go through that new program. And she's actually she works on set. She's been a makeup artist ever since. And for her, she didn't finish the hair program, and I did. And because hair is my thing and makeup is her thing. And we're still friends. So for concealer, we're going to use the MAKIAGE F on Flawless concealer. And this is the shade 3.5. So what was I talking about? Or where was I? Yeah, that's how I got into makeup and hair. I have done a few of my clients' wedding makeup. But I wouldn't consider myself a makeup artist, like a pro working makeup artist, because especially like at the time, I wasn't so comfortable doing makeup on other people. It's a little bit different now that I'm older and that, but yeah, I feel like that's what it is. Either you are into both hair and makeup, or for most of us, it's one or the other. Well, no, I'm into both hair and makeup, but in terms of doing clients or working on other people, I don't know if it was my age or where I was at in my life at that point. Like, I wasn't so comfortable putting makeup on other people. But I have, like I said, for my clients, like if they're going out or sometimes for their weddings, like if they weren't super into makeup themselves and they wanted or they trusted my opinion. Okay, so for blush, back in the day, I only wore powder blush, and I pulled two of my MAC blushes that I used to always wear. This one's Peachy Keen, and this one I've repurchased like several times. I don't know if it still exists or not. I don't use them anymore. I don't know if I keep them around for nostalgia. And this one is Dolly Mix. There was another one that was limited edition, and it came in like an orange component. I forget what, I feel like it was called X Rocks. But anyway, that one I used it all up, like hit pan and like scrape the sides, you know. So then, getting back into makeup, I was like, I don't think I've ever tried like cream blushes before. So the first one that I got into or started with is the Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil, and this is the shade Rose Crush. Now I love cream or liquid blush. So the hair school that I went to, it was like we only went to school in the evenings. It totally worked out for me. But of course, the interesting part is as soon as I found a part-time hair school, things happened within the company that I was working at as an accountant. And I'm not going to get into too much detail, but ultimately for my integrity, I ended up quitting. And at that point, I was doing like accounts payable, payroll, a bunch of accounting for the sales department. It was like I had two jobs within that one job. But yeah, like I said, some things went down within the company that it was obvious that it wasn't a part of my journey anymore. So I ended up quitting, I think just as part-time hair school started. So what ended up happening was my friend that I was just talking about, who now is a working makeup artist on set, she actually is the key for, what show is it currently? Anyway, I can't remember what show it is, but she's the key makeup artist for one of the shows that filmed here in Vancouver with Marsha Gay Harden. Anyway, so at that time, she was doing contract work for Cover FX. And then when she heard about what I was going through and my situation, she asked me if I wanted to join her. So that's how I got into Cover FX. At the time, Cover FX was only sold at Shoppers Drug Mart here in Vancouver. And that's where we would go. We would go to different locations and we would, it's like represent Cover FX products and then color match people and things like that. Okay, so I think we're ready to set the under eyes. So it's just the e.l.f. HD powder. Let me set the rest of my face, I guess. I can't remember how long I did that with Cover FX. Back to my hair school experience. So it was also like the first, I believe, the first kind of hair school that was actually like a functioning salon. Let me see. This was so long ago. We pretty much did, I think we had a week or two of guidance, not guidance, but like some practical learning. We were told at the beginning that the massive textbook that we were supposed to read and get tested on, we weren't going to do any of it or read any of it in class, and we had to basically do that on our own time. Because everything was going to be hands-on and practical, which is totally up my alley. By week 2, I can't remember if it was week 2. So let's just say week 2. Like, just really quickly, I feel like we were already taking clients in the salon part of the school, which pretty much that was our basically our classroom. I feel like doing it that way, you figure out really quickly whether hair is for you or not. And I think it's better that way than going to school full-time, meaning like through the day, 9 to 5 or whatever and I think at the time, the hair school that's full-time is like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and for 9 months at minimum, I think. And then this new school that I attended was part-time, so only in the evenings. I think it was 6 to 10. I feel like it was 6 to 10. Monday to Friday, and then only for 6 months. And I feel like doing it that way, you find out right away if the act of doing hair on clients, on people, like, are you brave enough to like cut someone's hair off, or because you can spend a lot of time studying or reading up on how to do hair in terms of cutting and coloring and all the other things that come along with it. And you spend all this time like in a classroom setting and you like, okay, yeah, it's interesting. And it always comes down to, as soon as you need to interact with another human being, touch their hair, listen to what they want, figure out how to cut a shape in a 3D way, then people start to panic. They can't transition from what they learn into applying it and practicing it with your physical hands, right? But yeah, so I think out of the whole class, I think there's like 19 or 20 of us. At the end of it, I think only 3 of us came out as actual working hairstylists. Okay, where are we? We're gonna finish up this eye look with the lower lash line. So I'm gonna go in with a BK Beauty 204 and the shade Cypress Umber. I'm just gonna pull that across my lower lash line. So I don't know if it was a combination of the fact that I'm born and raised here in Vancouver. So I already had like a lot of family and friends that would come to my hair school to get their hair done by me. Combination between that and like when my grandma passed away, I got like her clippers. And I think there was cutting shears in there as well. Like my grandpa gave me this box or like this little caboodle thingy of hair stuff, but with no direction or guidance from my grandma. But then I started just cutting my brother's hair And so this is back when I was 16, still a teenager when my grandma passed away. So I started cutting like my boyfriend's hair at the time and like my brother's hair. I don't know if the comfort of interacting with hair probably just came from that. And maybe our hair skills are genetic. I don't know. But my point is, I was already very busy as a student hairstylist within the working salon of the school that I was attending. And it was actually kind of funny because we had a different teacher every single day of the week. And they were all working stylists at this salon called Axis here in Vancouver. There's a bunch of locations. Actually, I don't know if they still are. It's been forever, but I think so. I feel like there is. So now I'm going to go in, let's see, orange soda and a BK Beauty 210. So our Friday teacher, I loved all the teachers. It was such a great experience. I had so much fun. But my Friday teacher, I think my mom was going to come. At the time, she was only available on Fridays. My mom's hair has been permed by her mother since she was like 13 or whatever. So when my grandma passed away, that's her mom, she tried to find different hairstylists to maintain her perms and her hair. And when I was in hair school, my mom was like, okay, hurry up. I need a perm soon. When are you going to do like the perm? When are you going to do the perm segment? Because I need you to perm my hair. But I have to clarify, it's not like an old lady perm. My mom has actually like she has cooler hair than I do than this hair that I have right now. But actually I stopped perming my mom's hair, I think 2 years ago, for the first time in her life, in her whole entire life. Anyway, so for underbrow highlight, I'm going to go in with the shade Tempera and my discontinued MAC 272. So yeah, my mom was like, I need my hair permed. When are you going to do perms? And then I asked my Friday teacher, because that was the only day that she could come in. I asked him, like, oh, next Friday, like, my mom needs her hair permed. When are we going to cover perms? And he actually told me that he didn't know how to perm. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I guess it was, starting to already be outdated 20 years ago. But in my opinion, perms are fun. Like, you can do them creatively. They don't all have to be wrapped in like a old lady way. So the fun part was that he asked me, do you know how to perm? And I told him, like, actually I do. So the fun part was that he asked me to bring in my mom the next Friday so that I could teach him how to wrap perm rods and perm my mom's hair. And then teach him and the rest of the class how to perm. Okay, so where are we? Eyeliner time. Okay, I always had eyeliner. Even from when I was a teenager in high school, it was always mascara and eyeliner. But I don't remember what I was using back then. So today we're just going to use my same old SEPHORA Glide Liner I've been trying to use up and get rid of. What else? By the time I was done hair school, I already had several job offers for different salons. One of them being the Axis salon. So the owner of Axis, I remember he came in and had a talk with me. I guess because I think it's a combination between the grades that I was getting and the amount of clients I already had. Which in the hair industry, if a stylist already comes with a clientele, then they're like highly sought after. So the owner comes in and basically asks me if I know where I'm going yet. And I told him I don't know how to choose. And actually, the piece of advice that he gave me was go to a salon try it out for a little while. As soon as it doesn't feel right anymore, then leave. And he told me this. He's like, I'm going to tell you, hairstylist to hairstylist, not like salon owner who's trying to recruit me to work for him. So another, one of the instructors, he was opening up his own salon. But actually, he didn't teach me. He taught a different class, but I would see him on the school grounds. And then I guess we had mutual friends. Oh, backstory. So another one of the friends that I made in makeup school, she was already an active hairstylist. And then she became my hairstylist, and we became close friends. And through her is actually how I met my Johnny, that we've been working together forever, right? So, wait a second. I feel like I need to clean that up. So where was I? I found out that instructor who didn't teach me, he was planning on opening his own salon, but the open date kept getting pushed back and pushed back. And I think ultimately he's the one that I wanted to work for or work with. And him and one of his best friends at the time, they were opening a salon together. But both of them are hairstylists, and neither of them have any like business experience. So I guess when they found out that I used to be an accountant, they offered me a job, and then they asked me to be the manager of their soon-to-be opening salon as well. And of course, that is what I wanted to work towards, but from the time of graduation to the time of their salon opening, there was a gap. So he told me, he's like, why don't you try working at a different salon first, just for experience, or somewhere for you to be able to take your existing clients too. So I interviewed, and like a hair interview is not so much talking. It's more like you show up with a model, and then you do your work, and they see how you work, and that's how you interview for hair. I need eyeliner on my lower lash line. I did a couple of interviews. The only place I didn't have to interview for actually was Axis, because I guess it's their school. So they already knew how I worked, right? And they knew my skill level. So I went with that salon. It's downtown. Because actually it was my Friday teacher again. He worked there, and he was probably one of my favorites, even though, like I said, I loved all my teachers, but me and my Friday teacher, like we got along really well. And I thought it would be fun to work with him at Axis. But I think I was working there for maybe 3 days, and on day 3, he came in and something happened. I can't even remember, but he ended up walking out. And then I was like, oh, now I don't know if I want to stay here. And then there was just other drama. Like, the hair industry is so full of drama, and, if you form friendships working within a salon, and the friendships last long, like myself and Johnny, that's like a bonus. There's so many personalities. There's so much politics. So the issue with Axis was that their general manager, because the owner, who was a working hairstylist, he was getting ready to retire. So who he brought in as a general manager, she doesn't have hair experience. She just knows how to boss people around or run things, right? She was nice enough, but I remember, I think what it was, the final straw for me was after my Friday teacher had quit, like walked out, she booked me a walk-in with super thick, like big curly hair. And she came to me and she goes, okay, so I was just upselling her on this one shampoo conditioner product set or whatever. And she goes, so that's the one that I need you to use on her, so then hopefully she'll buy it, blah, blah, blah. And then she told me which one she used, and I was like, that's for fine hair. Like, it's for like it even says it on the bottle that it's for fine limp hair, which obviously this client didn't have. I got into hair to do hair. I wanted to create things for people that they envision for themselves, that, let's say, they got told no all the time. That was, when I was first starting out, that was my favorite thing to do. Because, okay, so for myself, short forehead, I was always told, like my whole life, because I wanted bangs, I wanted a fringe. And I was always told, no, your hair's too thick and your forehead's too small, so it's not going to work. So it was actually the friend that I made in hair school who became my hairstylist, because she was a hairstylist. She was the first person to ever cut a fringe on me, and I loved it. So that's what inspired me to be able to do that for people. Like if people said, okay, within reason though, right? Because sometimes you just can't do certain things. But that was probably one of my favorite things about doing hair, is I would often hear from people like, oh, I kind of always wanted this, but I keep getting told like it doesn't work. So because of my problem solving mind, that's what excited me about doing hair. Okay, where are we? Like usual, let's just speed through mascara. Okay, so, oh, I could feel it. I just blinked and the mascara was still wet. So I have a little speck here, but I have to wait for it to dry before I can scratch it off with a spoolie. So I'm gonna put powder blush on top of my existing blush. And I'm pretty sure one of the first powder blushes that I got for myself was the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, the Cheek to Chic. So I'm just going to go in with a BK Beauty 112. And then my powder bronzer, Nikila Rose's N15. And I'm just going to dip into the bronzer part of the Skin Enhancer. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can scratch. I'm gonna scratch this off now. I can't remember if I was done with my story or not. So for highlighters, the first highlighter that I bought when I was getting back into makeup is this by Fenty Beauty, the Kilowatt Freestyle Highlighter Duo in Mean Money and Hustler Baby. This is what it looks like. As you can tell, I barely used it. I don't really use highlighters a lot. Highlighters and like my lips, it's always very, I don't really spend a whole lot of time on it. So like highlighters, I don't really use that often, but I'd like to encourage myself to try or to try to do better with highlighters. So, well, actually, for a while, I was using the highlighter part of the Skin Perfector. But let's see what. Let's do the Fenty Beauty today for fun. So I'm gonna use a BK Beauty 108. And gently, because this is Okay, and before we do setting spray, I'm going to buff out my nasal labial folds. And the setting spray that I got when I was getting back into makeup was actually recommended to me from a Sephora employee. It's the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. Okay, now for lips. Actually, what I used to use on my lips was the MAC lip jelly. It's discontinued now. They don't make it anymore. But that was my favorite lip product. I think I might even still have one in one random purse, an old purse. But today we're going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Iconic Nude. So, actually, I was telling you about the beginning of my hair career. So I quit Access and I actually started taking clients in my home, in my apartment that I was living in at the time. And I'd rather do that and work part-time as a cover effects consultant then, like the owner of Access told me, if you're not feeling the environment, get out of there. So I got out of there. The combination of that one instructor who left on my third day there, and then that general manager who was basically telling me what to do, what to use, how to sell products, and I'm not a salesperson. I hate selling products. Like, I can tell you about products, no problem. But I would hate to make anyone feel pressured into buying anything that they either don't have the money for or don't want to spend the money on. Like, because I don't want to be pressured into buying things. Like, I believe everything is every individual's, like, choice, right? That's the beauty of life, our free will. So yeah, I just told I told the other owners that I planned on working with as soon as their salon was up and ready that I would join them, which is what happened. But we were with them for a few years before some other drama happened. I'll save that for maybe the next Get Ready With Me, or another, maybe not the next one, but some other Get Ready With Me. I'll tell you about that part of my hair journey. Because actually this video was about my journey back to makeup. And then one of the first lip products I bought was the KAJA Gloss Shot. Yeah, Gloss Shot in Milk Tea. I'm surprised this probably should be decluttered by now, but it doesn't smell like it's turned at all. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. So there we have it. This wraps up this video. Again, I want to thank you all so much for subscribing to my channel, for being a part of this part of my journey in my life. This is the final look. What do you guys think? I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And again, thank you so much.
Oh, ha, ha.